Good evening, everyone. This is John and Constance Stoutinger with JCX Fishing. We're very lucky tonight. We have Jonathan Kelley coming on tonight. He is the newest qualifier for the Elite Series through the Bassmaster Opens. Just want to let you know we're going to be doing a YouTube giveaway pretty soon once we hit 100 subscribers. Yeah, we've just started trying to ramp up, and I'm gonna play a little video of some of the products and companies that's going to be associated with that. So all right, here we go. All right, so if you got a chance to take a look at that, you're going to notice that most of my partners have decided to partake in that subscriber giveaway.
That's a lot.
It is, and we got some stuff over here that we've been setting aside. Just to let you know, Jonathan Kelley, he's from Pennsylvania. He went to Coastal Carolina University. Yeah, I've been talking with him for about 10 minutes on the computer, and it's kind of interesting how he got to this point in his career, and young career, I should say, because he's only 25. So, all right, we'll bring him on in. Hello, Jonathan.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Not too bad. How are you? You know, I do have a question for you. Do you prefer John or Jonathan or Johnny or what?
If my mom heard you call me Johnny, she might come kill you.
See, I'm the same. I mean, like my family called me Johnny, my brother, and that's about it. Yeah, I'm not a big Johnny fan.
No, most of the time it's either Jonathan or kind of growing up through high school, all my friends called me JT. That was kind of like
all right, nice.
Okay, cool. All right, so I basically gave him a quick rundown. You went to Coastal Carolina University. You're at the ripe old age of 25.
Just a babes.
Qualifying for your first. Yeah, this is like 6 months worth on me. Qualifying for the Elite Series in your first go around through the Opens. That alone in itself is very impressive and a huge feat. Do you want to give a little background about yourself and go from there?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of started fishing when I was like 3-4 years old. I really got in it from my dad. I thank him for that. I mean, I don't know if I ever would have been interested in fishing if it wasn't for him. He basically got into it when I got into it because he used to be a big ski racer, and he had an injury, and my mom basically told him find a new hobby, and he picked up fishing. So when he picked up fishing, it was kind of like me and him grew together, learned how to do it as I was going 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, and then that way up, every couple of years he'd upgrade to a bigger boat. And when I got into about like 11 or 12 years old, we started fishing the local tournaments together, and we would fish those, just locally around us, anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour away. And then when I got to 16, I started fishing the BFL level as a co-angler. And then at 18, I went off to school, and at school they had like a club, it was a fishing club, but it was mainly saltwater. And me and my buddy, we ended up being the only bass, team at the club. So my freshman year was me and him. After that, me and him kind of started growing the club into more freshwater side. So we turned it in from 1 team to 2 teams, 2 teams to 4, and then my senior year there was 8 teams. So it was cool to see how it grew. And I also was at that age where I truly witnessed college fishing grow. When it started, it was like around 100 boats, but by the time my senior year came, they were capping it at 250, and there was 400 boats trying to get into it.
Wow.
So I was part of that age where you really were able to see the college fishing grow. And then once I graduated college, I moved back home. And the following year, I started fishing the Toyota Series. Fished 2 years on that, and then this past year is my first year fishing the Opens.
Yeah.
Wow, what a journey already.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you did be quite some impressive people too, by the way. You know,
Thank you.
some people may know he's not too far from you over in New Jersey, Ellie. Then yeah. Then you have Prosnick, who this is the second year trying to get back into the elites.
Yeah, and he's a really good fisherman. He catches them everywhere.
Yes, and well, he still has a chance to in the overall, but yeah. So you were the first one to qualify this year, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you know, you and I did talk a while back via message, and I asked if you, just because you qualified don't mean you're going to take the opportunity to fish the elites. And
Correct.
So is that your plan?
Yeah, that's 100% the plan now. I mean,
excellent.
Kind of it was, even when I was on that stage and they told me I qualified, it was kind of the plan. Because like a little backstory was, so going into this year, we kind of, you know, with my family, we talked, and, you know, obviously you fish the Opens with the intention to make the elites. And, you know, when you do have that opportunity to make that next level, like you kind of have to at least have the thought of the, you know, the amount of money that it's going to take to make that happen. So at the beginning of the year before it started, when, you know, I sat down and I was like, I want to fish the Opens, it was like, well, what can we do if you did make it? Because, I mean, I truly believe I, you know, could compete. You know, the 2 years prior, I feel like I learned enough. I feel like I was competing consistently and only getting better each year. And I was fishing against some really good guys that are in the fishing industry. So going into this year, you know, me and my dad talked, we do plaster stucco drive at work. But then in the winter, when it gets cold, we do snow removal. So part of, you know, the whole process of making the elites, the big what if was, well, let's take on more work in the winter. So we ended up actually this year, going into like this upcoming winter, we took on more snow removal jobs. We ended up adding another truck, some more equipment than we have had in the past. So it was kind of like, that was one of those, you know, stepping stones that we put in there if I made the elites. And, you know, if I didn't, well, it would just be more work on us, and it helps us anyways. It's more money coming in. But if I did make it, that was kind of that little bit of a backup, like money idea starting, you know, that we didn't have previously.
Cool. Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it sounds like you didn't just go into this like, oh, if I make it, I make it. If not, then no. You actually had a plan, which is, you know, at the age of 25, I wish I knew half of what I wanted to do. You know.
Yeah, that was a big part. Like I branded myself, and that was another discussion I had with my family. Like, you know, I was not for a wrap. You know, getting the boat wrap, getting the truck wrap. Yeah, it's nice, but at first I was like, I don't need that. Like, I'll wait until I make it to the next level. But you know, the opportunity came across, and I had some sponsors help out, and you know, going back and looking back to actually brand myself was probably one of the best things I ever did, because it gave, you know, me exposure on my end, but it also gave those supporters and sponsors that did help me some exposure for themselves. And you know, fortunately it did work out in 1 year. Like I got the boat wrapped in March, and the whole year went by, and we had a really good year doing it. So it was perfect timing.
Excellent. I know you and I, you know, when we were talking before this, we did mention about traveling next year, and do you have anybody that you're going to travel with? Are you going on it alone? But no, you have a guy that some people from New York might be familiar with.
Yes. Yeah. Good buddy of mine, Jamie Hartman.
Yeah, Jamie. So he's also been helping you throughout this year, correct? In the last couple of years or so.
Yeah, we've been, we've been good friends the last couple of years, and every year, we became even closer and better friends, and we talk really often. He actually called me tonight. We were at meet and greet earlier. He called me while I was up, talking to some people, and I was like, I can't answer right now, so I have to get back to him once we're done here tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry about that, Jamie. But yeah, Rob, I just want to say, Rob, glad to have you back. One of my friends, Rob Wells, he was dealing with COVID for the last couple of weeks. Glad to have him back. Any questions for Jonathan? Go ahead and shoot him. That's what he's here for. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Jeremy, I wore them just for you. I was like, I'm gonna leave my crazy earrings in because Jeremy's gonna say something about it.
So let's see. What else?
What else?
Yeah, well, I want to say it was 9 the last 12 tournaments pro level you fished. You cast a check-in?
Yeah, eight out of the last 12.
Eight out of the last 12. Yeah, that's
that's very good.
Yeah, I fished as a co-angler on the Toyota,
it's
and
like better than the best batting average right there.
Yeah. I fished Toyota series on the co-angler side for a while, and then this year I transferred back to the Opens, and I like the Opens. I like everything about them, the meeting new people and stuff like that. But we do have a question here for you.
All right, so it says, what are you looking forward to most entering the Elite Series?
Honestly, I kind of looking forward to fishing against some of the guys that I used to fish back in college. That it's kind of like guys are getting back together type of thing. I fished against Patrick Walters, Jake Whitaker, Tyler Rivette, a couple of those other guys that are all on the Elite Series. So it is nice to see that happen.
Like what, more of like a little reunion or more like a rivalry type kind of thing?
It's definitely always going to be a rivalry.
Good.
Yeah.
Got to keep them on their toes.
Don't be afraid to take some money from them either.
I plan on it.
But stay away from cards from Welcher, I guess. He's pretty good at cards.
Yeah, I've heard that. He's a really cool dude. Speaking of him, not last year, it was the year before that. I went down. I had a new boat at the time, and I had to break it in and whatnot. So I went down and fished a Toyota series of the St. John's River, and he was parked next to me at the dock during that Toyota series because it was the week after they fished the Elites. That's when he caught like that 10-pounder. So that was his rookie year. And he talked to me all that morning, and he's like, dude, you need to put a camera in that guy's boat. Like, he didn't even know me, and he was just, talking to cameramen saying, put a camera in his boat. And real cool guy, and I actually met him the night before eating dinner. I literally just turned over, and he was sitting behind me. I was like, you ready to catch him tomorrow? And he's like, oh, yeah. So we just kind of continued that conversation to the point where, we talked the second day. I ended up making the third day. He even told me an area to check before that second day ended. You have to talk to anyone before that second day is officially over. And he's like, because we were fishing in a similar area. He's like, you got to go check that one area. He's like, there's a big fish on a bed in there. And I was like, I appreciate that. Like, I just met you this week, and he extended that. So I have a lot of respect and high praise for him.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Julian Felix has
another question.
It
says, any intimidating factors you've been keeping in the back of your mind?
No. I mean, I don't get that intimidated. I mean, I'm that type of person I don't see it as fishing against someone. I think I see it as I'm fishing versus the fish. Obviously, you have to catch, bigger fish than the other people, but the ultimate goal, and especially like in my eyes, is being the most consistent fisherman I can be. And when you can be consistent, I feel like you can succeed at the higher levels. And that kind of, that I'm not really too intimidated by anything in specific. Maybe I didn't come across that yet.
That's a good answer, though. You're
Actually, I do have a better.
It's yourself, and not everybody
I
else.
do have another. I have an answer to it. We were just at the St. Lawrence River. I'm intimidated by Lake Ontario.
Right? I've heard a lot about that. Oh my gosh, you got a lot of questions coming in here. See, look at how popular you are. All right, so Jeremy, aka Cookie Master, says, well, hold on, let me not pass by it. Do you think your decision making will change now that you're going on to the elite?
I'm definitely not going to say no. I will say yes, because I feel like, just over time, you constantly learn and to adapt in new ways that you just didn't know in the past. So you're definitely going to, the more I grow, the more knowledge I gain, I'm going to constantly be making change and make different decisions just based off of what I learn over time. Like, I truly believe you learn something every day on the water. Even if you go out there at zero, you learn something that day.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then Rob says, any elite waters you haven't fished yet on the schedule for next year?
Yeah, I think there is 3. I did not fish the Harris chain. I have not fished Mississippi, and I have not fished the one in South Dakota. That's kind of far. That's really far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole different direction for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there any of the bodies of water on the schedule that you're looking forward to the most?
The first event at St. John's, I really like that place. Like the St. Lawrence was a great way for me to, finish the Opens and make the elites. The St. John's is definitely one of the best places for me to, I think, start. I just like that style of fishing. I went to Coastal Carolina. It's Winyah Bay, so I kind of like that. It's a little bit of tidal. You got trees, you have pads. It's kind of how it's set up, and it's a style that I spent a lot of time doing, and I really like that.
Cool.
And Michael has a question.
We already hit that one.
Oh. No, we didn't. Where are you looking forward to fishing?
That's the question I just asked him.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm responding to all the messages and stuff here. All right. So, well, there's still more questions. Jeremy says, how do you handle fishing when your electronics aren't working? Do you have any experience without using them?
Yeah, I do. It is frustrating when they don't work and they're supposed to work and you really do need them to work. But the first Open this year was on the James River. Besides for running 50 minutes down to the Chick, I could have turned my graphs off for the rest of the day and never used them again. I really didn't need to have them on. It was just one of those things they were on. I left them on and I paid no attention to them. But now with them not working, at the second Open on Oneida, on day 2, my front Lowrance got water in it from how rough it was, and it shut down on me, so I had no mapping or 2D the entire day. So that was kind of one of those, like you can't really, it was so rough that the smallmouth fish was tough, and I was bailing on that pattern anyways, but the graph going was also more of a reason to bail on that pattern. And I completely threw everything I practiced doing away, and I went largemouth fish and I caught 15 pounds, and that literally saved my Open season. And that was all.
So you went largemouth fishing on Oneida?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Let's see here. What's the best way to fish?
I ended up weighing in 15 pounds that second day.
Okay.
I think we were lagging.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I ended up saying, I fished I got on a really good pattern of smallmouth in practice, to the point where it was too good. And I had a 2:00 early check-in the first day. So I kind of rode that out. And, I didn't know how much 10 to 15 pounds of largemouth would have done that tournament. I don't think anybody did. because of the conditions we faced. I should have bailed in the smallmouth fishing the first day, and I just couldn't. And I can't, regret it. I just have to move on from it and learn. The second day, I completely bailed and went largemouth fishing and had 15 pounds.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty good at instinct right there. So, do you want to read?
Sure. What's the best way to fish the St. Lawrence this time of year? Depths, lures, etc.
Well, right about now, they're probably grouped up big time. And if you can find some scattered rock, individual clusters of rock anywhere from like 20 to 30 feet right now, that's kind of where they're going to be loaded up on. That's how I caught my fish in that open. There was just more and more fish coming. I fished these same spots and areas in that open that I fished 2 weeks, or in the open, I also fished 2 weeks prior in the Toyota series. But the problem was in Toyota series, they just weren't grouped up yet. I had 20 pounds both days, and I wasn't catching as many fish, but I still caught some good fish and, a good amount. But when we came back 2 weeks later for the open, it went from 100 to a couple hundred fish in that area.
Okay.
And then depths and lures wise, I mean, if you're going out there, you cannot beat a drop shot in a Ned rig smallmouth fishing, plain and simple. But I caught him a little bit different. I caught him on a jig and a Carolina rig. That's just what was working for me. I did catch a few fish on a drop shot in a Ned rig that tournament, but that last open, the bulk of my weight, especially those first 2 days, I think all but one fish came on a jig, a football head half-ounce jig, or a 1 ounce Carolina rig, just dragging a crawl in the back of it.
Okay, so were you fishing the current or were you fishing the eddies?
I was fishing, like I said, those individual rock piles and stretches like that where there's clusters of rock. And it was kind of right on like where there was a current seam that would push up against the rock.
All right, cool.
Like, and you could if it was specifically see, that seam on the side of the water and where it bends and where it swings.
What is your favorite way to fish, and what's like your least favorite?
So my favorite way is in the spring when you can just chuck and wind a chatterbait all day long and you don't need anything else. You can take 2 chatterbaits, whatever color you want, the ones you have most confident in, and you could just catch them and catch them and catch them. And it seems like there's no other bait in existence when you're doing that. So that's definitely my favorite way to catch them. You can, really take advantage of that during a few key, week stretches during the spring. But other than that, my least favorite way, it's probably deep cranking, just because I don't do a lot of it. I mean, I'm from the north. Typically, I don't deep crank for smallmouths. I've caught them doing it, but I feel like there's a lot more efficient ways to catch the smallmouth, especially. I did a little bit when I was in school down south. Like we fished Gunnersville. We fished Pickwick once. So, I did deep crank before. I've caught fish doing it. It's not something I spent enough time on. And it's it's one of those things that it's not a whole lot different than, deep smallmouth fishing. You just have to find where those fish are going to be grouped up and you just have to commit to doing it. But I just don't have that much experience doing it just because of, lack of time in those places that you do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Scott Callan, a friend of mine. He says, I know someone else who doesn't use crankbaits. He can't be talking about me. But yeah,
I could throw the paint off a square bill or a DT6 or DT10, but anything bigger than that, it's like going off the doom drop.
Yeah, I'm not a big crankbait guy, so. But
Me neither.
no. Okay.
I don't fish at all, so there you go.
Right. All right. So is there any of the bodies of water that you're not looking forward to?
No, I mean, I'm willing to I want to see everyone, on the elite schedule. I mean, even if I wasn't to have a good event at one of them, per se, I would still, I still get that opportunity to see that water, experience it, and just learn for the future. I mean, that's the biggest thing, Like I said, I feel like consistency is a very important thing, especially at the open level, the elite level. And in order to be consistency, you have to be willing to fish any lake and every lake. You don't get to pick the schedule. You just get to fish what the schedule offers for you.
Yeah, and everybody has the same playing field, so which makes it nice.
Yeah.
Of course, being on St. Lawrence, it could be raining down by Chameau and be total sunshine up in Waddington or Clayton. Yeah. So, but you're looking at a 100-mile stretch there, so you got that as well. Any other questions for Jonathan? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Scott.
Listen.
We're gonna have to do a little personal thing here, Jonathan, for a second.
Listen. I didn't have time to make cookies.
So Constance usually makes me a dozen cookies to take to my tournaments.
At least.
Is that
Who's
Jamie? Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So she usually makes me a dozen cookies to take or more to take to a tournament.
A dozen of the hardest type of cookies to make because it takes like 2 days to do them. So you can't do like chocolate chip where I can just throw them together and throw them in the oven.
Yeah. We have a couple questions and she didn't make any, and so one of my friends was like, "Where's the cookies at?" And I'm like, "I don't have any." He thought I was lying to him at first, but. All right, we got a couple questions for you.
All right. Any techniques or basics?
What's that?
Oh no, we're lagging.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't get that, Jonathan. All right, so Jonathan's frozen.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So
I hear you.
Okay. Do you want to go with the question?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Any techniques or baits that you don't like using but always work? Well, that's a good question.
Hands down, a Ned rig. That is the most boring bait there is, but that bait catches so many fish of all sizes. The smallest bait possible, but it could catch you the biggest fish. And you, for the most part, don't do anything. You pitch it out and you just let it float down to the bottom, and usually there's one there.
Yeah.
I
see, I'm that way with a wacky rig. I can't stand throwing the wacky rig because of that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I had some hate for the wacky rig for a while, but the last couple of years it's been too good to me.
All right.
All right, let's do this one first then. All right, so Steve Martins wants to know. Steve wants to know what your favorite wire bait is.
War Eagle spinnerbait.
Okay. Any particular color, or don't want to say?
I threw my favorite color to throw, period, and I don't even care if it doesn't match up to the bait fish. Is blue heron. It's the color I've thrown forever. It's just like your standard white shad pattern. It's got a little bit of blue, a little bit of chartreuse in it, and it, you could use it in any type of water where it's clear or a little stain. And I just feel like that's the one bait. Like if I don't know anything about the place and I gotta have a spinnerbait tied on, that's a spinnerbait tied on no matter what. I'm at least gonna take a couple casts with that before I go changing.
Okay, cool. Do you ever throw big spinnerbaits like 1.5 ounces? Or chatterbait, I'm sorry. Chatterbait.
Ounce spinnerbait's the heaviest I've thrown, but I've never thrown that heavy of a chatterbait. Heaviest one I think is 3/4. Okay.
Now do you throw them on okay, speaking of chatterbaits, do you use like say you're throwing a 1/2 ounce, do you go to a glass rod or you just use a medium heavy graphite?
I just do 7.2 medium heavy graphite rod. I tried that glass rod deal, when the craze was the craze and everyone was saying you got to use glass, and I mean, the fish definitely engulfed it more, but I just feel like I was missing fish, or just, I feel like I was losing more, more fish that way than with a graphite rod. I really don't feel like I lose enough fish to begin with on a chatterbait to ever have to make that change, but I figured I wanted to try it. You never know. Like, even though you think you have something that's working great, something could work better. So I gave it a chance, but I couldn't commit to it. I tried it for maybe 3-4 weeks, and I gave up on it.
Yeah. And like I tell people, and I'm sure you do the same thing, whatever works for you, stick with it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And some people are going to like it, some people aren't.
Exactly. And Michael Hunt wants to know, what's the fastest way to break down the St. Lawrence to find fish, and what do you look for?
Kind of relates to our question earlier. Like right now, if you could find like individual rock piles or scattered, rock clusters in that 20 to 30 foot range, it's going to be pretty good. And, as it gets cooler and cooler, you can start pushing shallower, throwing some more moving baits. And I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be cooler to throw those moving baits. Guys were catching them on moving baits in the open. I know a lot of guys were catching them on a spinnerbait and jerkbait. It wasn't a consistent bite for me. And I know how I like to fish. So, I mean, I fished super slow in that tournament, like to the point where I was barely moving my bait on the bottom.
All right, cool. So yeah, we're not going to try to keep you much longer so you can get back to Jamie. So is there any people you'd like to thank, your partners, anything like that you'd like to thank you, and how can we get a hold of you, or watch some of your videos or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me on my Instagram and my Facebook, Jonathan Kelley Fishing, for both. I will be starting a YouTube. It's coming November, like the first week. I have the Toyota Series Championship still left at Pickwick. So once I get done with that, I'm going to record some footage down there, and then I'll get the YouTube going and get some, content going from that trip. And hopefully we do good, and that'll only make the video even better. But other than that, I definitely want to all my sponsors for everything that they have done for me this past year and the past couple of years. I mean, they're all pieces to this puzzle. You can't do it on your own. I appreciate everyone, and it's an army of people that make this happen. And I know there's a lot ahead of me, and I know I have a awesome support system behind me, making this bus go. So I really do appreciate all that I did have. Big shout out to Geico Scranton, that's a sponsor. They've supported me the last few years. Spano Construction, John Kelley, Plaster Stucco Drive It, Kelleher Tires, Barber Ford. And then on the fishing side, I had Carhartt X-Zone, Owner Hooks, P-Line, Denali Rods, EcoPro Tungsten, Bass Boat Technologies, Power Pole, and Mercury. And I mean, that was all my setup this past year. It was on my boat. I had the boat wrapped, and every company that I just said, they put a foot forward and helped me out in some way, shape, or form this past season, and that means a lot, especially when you are trying to reach your dream, and that's to make it to the Elite Series. And now I've made it, and a lot of those companies are going to continue to back me going forward, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to working with some new companies in the future as well.
All right. Excellent. Congratulations. I want to say thank you for coming on, talking to us. And Michael Hunt says he'll take a JTK shirt when you come.
Yeah,
when they come out.
Shirts.
But
I sell these shirts, and I actually just got a shipment of them.
Okay. Do you want to stand up and show people, or?
Yeah, sure.
And how can somebody get one?
Well, right now you can just message me and I can get one shipped out to you, but I am working on a website that will be up in the next coming week or so. And that's going to, it's going to keep track of all my social media platforms on the website. It's going to have like a little overview of what the season has coming up. It's going to have some merchandise for sale. It's also going to have, a link to my YouTube videos when I do get that up and running. So kind of everything you want to know about me, and it'll be on my website. That will also be Jonathan Kelley Fishing. And that's kind of where it'll all go down.
Awesome, man. Well, like I said before, thank you very much for taking time out of your day. when we set this up, I wasn't aware that you had a prior obligation, but I really do thank you for coming on and talking to us, helping out some of the people that watch our channel. And will you take care? Good luck, and I'm looking forward
Thank
to.
you for having me.
Yes, looking forward to seeing you catch some fish next year.
I plan on it.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good night.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. You
Yes,
too.
sir. Bye. Thanks. Bye. All right, everybody. That was Jonathan Kelley from Pennsylvania. I appreciate all the questions and all the love you're showing for a local guy here. Really, really nice guy. You can tell he's had a good upbringing. But I'm going to play a couple things for us before we stop going live. And again, mention the 100 YouTube subscriber giveaway. Here's some of the products or some of the companies that have decided that are going to participate in that. All right. So here's the quick video. All right, everybody. Yeah, once we hit 100 subscribers, we're gonna have a nice prize pack for someone out there. Want to say thank you for everybody for tuning in. Everybody, if you're gonna go fishing, take a child, take a friend. Don't go fishing alone. Always share the experience. If you're going to be out there fishing, always wear your life vest. It's simple. It's easy. One click. Maybe 3, depending on what kind of vest you wear. It could save your life, save the life of a friend. So thank you guys very much. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you later on.